Hola, tudo bem, konnichiwa, como estás? Hello, aloha, what it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast, and Rich Paul, your clown. Listen to this man go once again. So, I was scrolling through the internet yesterday, scrolling through IG most specifically. That's where I get a lot of my news and ideas from. And I see Rich Paul. And at the moment I see Rich Paul, I know there's going to be some garbage attached to it. He's another LeBron worshiper, so I know that everyone else sucks. Everyone else is going to be put down. Everyone else is going to be criticized, called trash. Everyone else is going to have a dump taken on their chest. And LeBron's going to look great no matter what. When Rich Paul talks, I know that's what's coming. And if you didn't realize that, you better wake up and enter reality with the rest of us. When he starts talking about anything, LeBron's going to be praised and everybody else is going to be basically trash, right? So all I was trying to figure out was who was going to be the target of nonsense and garbage today. This man starts saying that the big three when they were on Miami was not a big three and that he likes a big two. That's more comfortable for Richard Paul. It's more comfortable for me to have a big two. Like, we give a dang what Rich Paul thinks, man, please. So this guy comes out and says, there was no big three. It was more like, it was more like a two. And Bosh was professional and took the back road, but he wasn't all that, He wasn't a part of a big three. So I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm like, man, I really can't stand this guy. The gaslighting is disgusting. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody that surrounds LeBron James is a gaslighter. I don't know if you've realized that. These people will go backwards and try to rewrite history for the sake of LeBron James. That's who they love. That's who they want to be with. That's who they want to spend the rest of their lives with, is LeBron. So... And I don't know if you realize, some of my videos are getting more and more hostile towards this stuff because it makes me mad. And I know there's a lot of you out there that also get mad at this. Like, what is this man talking about? Chris Bosh is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's an 11-time All-Star, and his career was cut short because of blood clots. He was making $100 million when that wasn't cool, when everybody wasn't just getting the bag. Him, Wade, and Bron were getting bags. He was a bag getter. He was compared to Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, and Tim Duncan. And arguably was the most, in my opinion, he was the most unique of them. That 3 Ray Allen hit to win the game, they had to take Tim Duncan off the court because Chris Bosh was a great shooter. Chris Bosh got the rebound and threw it out to Ray Allen to make that shot. He made big plays after big plays. He blocked Tony Parker like 3 times in that game, including twice in overtime. To that point, if you ever watched Tony Parker back in the day, I'd never seen anybody block his shot. More or less 3 times in one game to win. Tony Parker was a master of getting to the basket. He was the fastest, quickest guy at that time. And he shot 50% in the paint at a time when people didn't shoot 50% from the field, especially as a guard. That's how good Tony Parker was at one point. I wouldn't say he was elite, but he was really, really good. Bosh averaged like 24 and 12 or 24 and 11 his last year in Toronto before he joined the Heat. The man was an elite superstar level player. You don't make the All-Star team 11 times when you're not a great player or a superstar. First ballot Hall of Famer. On the Olympic team that won gold as well with Kobe and them. And you're going to sit up here and tell me he wasn't elite? Chris Bosh was also left-handed. I'm left-handed, so I have an affinity for left-handed people. Those are my people because we play basketball in a different way. You know what I mean? And, I just can't say enough good things about Chris Bosh. I was a huge fan of his on Toronto. I hated that he joined the Heat, actually. I was very disappointed in that. And it did ruin his career, in my opinion, because he should have been regarded as much better than he was. Listen, man. He was an 11-time All-Star, like I said, and a first ballot Hall of Famer, and his career was cut ridiculously short. He got a $100 million contract to be on the Heat with Dwayne Wade when LeBron left, and he never really even got a chance to play after that. because of the blood clots. And I think it was in his lungs or something like that. So, his life was on the line. And the crazy thing was, like I said, his career was cut short. He did all that before he even got to live up to his $100 million contract. So, Chris Bosh was that guy. He was one of the Hemis. You know what I mean? And just listening to Rich Paul, just disrespectful. But he also took a shot at Kobe and Shaq and them. So let's listen to what he had to say real quick. And then we'll come back and briefly discuss that so that, you could hear it for yourselves and not just me talking about it.
Right. You got to have cohesiveness. You have to have, obviously, it's a team thing. So, what that depth looks like, how those guys actually fit the mold, the camaraderie within the locker room and things like that. Losing obviously hurts everything. Winning heals a lot of different wounds. And so, look, the names on the back of the jersey is one thing. We've seen it not work in other instances. 20 years ago, it didn't work. When the Lakers had all the names, they walked into Detroit and they was beat 4-1 in the finals. So that's not the end all of a big two. I always really love a big three. The big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. There was, when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat and he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work.
So here you go. This guy's trying to rewrite history per usual, raise up LeBron James, take a dump on everybody else that he can. So he also mentioned, like I said, he mentions the Lakers team. It says the name is on the back of the jersey. Don't always make the win and mention it as a super team. Listen, man, that was not no daggone super team. I'm tired of people saying that. Maybe I'll make a video specifically to discuss that at some point. Karl Malone was dang near 40 years old. And Gary Payton was old too. You know how I'm going to know Gary Payton was old? Because Chauncey Billups was the MVP. All time, is Chauncey Billups better than Gary Payton? Am I missing something, or is Gary Payton a top 50 all-time player? Top 75 at this point, excuse me. Is Chauncey Billups a top 75 player? No, he's not. He's not close to that. Gary Payton was one, okay? He is one. So when people say, oh, that was a super team, it would have been a super team if it was prime Gary Payton. Because prime Gary Payton, in my opinion, there's no way Chauncey Billups becomes MVP and cooks prime Gary Payton. That's not happening. That's not happening at all. Also, Karl Malone got hurt in that series. He mentioned to explain that too. Karl really didn't even play. The loss is a loss. It doesn't look good on the Lakers in general. I thought they were going to win. I agree. I thought they were. But not necessarily just because we had Gary Payton and Karl Malone. And if we had Karl Malone, I thought it would have been way more competitive. But because we had Kobe and Shaq, and they did a great job of shutting down Kobe and Shaq. You got to give the Pistons credit for that. That was impressive. The Kobe and Shaq were beefing. Gary Payton was older. Karl Malone didn't play. They beat us, man, straight up. You got to give them credit for that. But that was also one of the best defensive teams I've ever seen, so it is what it is. But you trying to call that a super team, compare that to the Miami Heat, is garbage. The Miami Heat were LeBron, Wade, and Bosh in the prime of their careers, all of which were coming off seasons where they were potential MVPs. So are you kidding me? No. LeBron and Wade were among the two top 5 best players in the league, hands down. It was them two, Kobe and Dwight at that time, I believe. Actually, no. This was after Dwight. So it was Kobe. And actually, no. Dwight was still there. I think Dwight was still around at that time. It was them two, Kobe and Dwight, who were the top 4. I'd have to think about who they were among that group. Okay? The person after that, maybe Tim Duncan or somebody like that, Dirk, I don't know. But they were in that group. All right, they were in that group. And Bosh was, to me, a top 10. 24 and 11 only was getting put up by Duncan and KG at that time. And even KG, I don't think was putting up 24 points a game. I think he was a little lower. And even Duncan was a little lower than 24. But their best seasons, I think they put up 24 and 12 or 13 or something like that. So he was in that category of player at that time. And that's at a time where there was a lot of good big men. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Chris Bosh was the only big man, and it was only just Tim Duncan and KG and Dirk. There were other guys that were nice at that time. So Bosh was elite. He was a top 10 player, in my opinion. And I'll admit, bias-wise, he was one of my favorite players until he went to Toronto. But it's not because he was just mediocre. He was nice. He was cooking people. He was an elite basketball player. And to sit up here and listen to Rich Paul destroy Chris Bosh and say he was just a professional and his IQ is what made him that, man, shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. I'm tired of these people, man. Anything to raise LeBron and take a dump on everybody else is all they care about. You could call me a hater. Again, call me a hater. I don't care. I'm going to live in the truth of life. I will live in the truth. The truth is, whether you like me or not, he just put down Chris Bosh, who's been a great player, who's always been professional, who's always been a good guy that I can see, who's taken a lot of crap over the years for making a bad decision, in my opinion, by even joining those people. And you're going to take a dump on him and say it wasn't a big three. Shut up, Rich Paul. Just shut up. And I wonder do people ever catch up to this guy and check him and put him in his place? Kobe's dead, so he can't say nothing no more. You're very fortunate, Rich, for the way you be talking recently. You keep talking. You keep talking that talk. When he's dead, it's real easy to talk like that. But if he was alive, you wouldn't be talking like that. And I hope that Chris Bosh corners you one day and checks you for being stupid and disrespectful. LeBron is not the only player ever in the NBA. He's not the only person that matters. The game was here before him. It'll be here after him. There were other great players while he's been playing. Maybe he should figure out how to defeat Steph and keep Steph from winning 4 rings on his watch before you get to come on here and badmouth and change history. Next thing he's going to tell us is Dirk wasn't really that good when he put belt to behind on that team. Bosh did better in the finals against the Mavericks than your boy LeBron did. So it wasn't no big three. Shut up. Sick and tired of this guy, man. I'm tired of all these dudes, man, just clowning out. People are going to check me and call me a hater and be upset with me for this video, potentially. But you know what, man? You know what? You going to check him for talking nonsense on people? Comparing that Laker team with them 2 old dudes at the time, respectfully, Gary Payton and Carl, y'all were old. Y'all were not the prime versions of yourselves. He's comparing that to the Miami Heat with 3 of the best players in the league at the same time on the same team, who came together to be on the same team at the same time. They didn't grow together. Say what you want about Kobe and Shaq. Kobe did not go there in his prime. Shaq may have, but Shaq didn't go there to join Kobe. Kobe had to become great while playing with Shaq. That's not the same thing as, oh, we're both at the top of the league. We're the 2 best players, and we're going to join up. We're the 3 best players, and we're going to join up at like 26 years old. 26, 27, whatever they were, in our primes. Even that Celtics team, that I hate that team because they took a ring from my Lakers. Without that super team, we might have had another ring. Kobe would have had 3 in a row. And then you really could say, yo, him, Jordan, which one? I don't know. But they took that from us. Even that super team, I'll call them a super team, but that's not the same thing as what Miami did. It is not the same thing. So to sit up here and badmouth Chris Bosh, and I know I'm going all over the place with all these other tangents, but it's all relevant, it all matters. And also, if anybody you're debating says to you, you're moving the goalpost because you're bringing more information to the table, just laugh at them. The goalpost isn't moved when you bring more information to the table or become more detailed to prove your point. If what they're saying is actually true, then there's no information I should be able to bring into the argument, that would even make their argument irrelevant. if there's 4,000 pieces of evidence and you just want me to stay on 2,000 and leave out 2,000 pieces of evidence for your argument to be successful, that's not how debates work. So I'm going to end this video here because I could continue to go on in this tangent. But Rich Paul drives me nuts and I can't stand him. Just he doesn't care about other people. He only cares about LeBron. So he's going to disrespect everybody else and everything else that he can. And the rest of you people, for those of you that can't see that, I don't understand what's wrong with you. I really don't understand what's wrong with you. This is his pattern. This is his habit. This is LeBron's habit. This is Nick Wrong's habit. This is Shannon Sharp's habit. And I actually like Shannon Sharp, except when he talks about LeBron James. Stephen A. Smith has done this, even though him and LeBron are beefing, which is weird to me. These guys will take a dump on everybody else to save LeBron James. And Stephen A. Smith is not the worst of it. He goes back and forth, which is weird. He doesn't really pick a definitive side. Sometimes he gets on LeBron, sometimes he caps for LeBron. But those other guys, it's just Cap City 24/7. Raise LeBron, take a dump on everybody else. But you know what? I see that pattern. So on my watch, I'm going to call it out. Rich Paul is a clown. He performs at the circus. And it's disrespectful to disrespect Chris Bosh like this, who's never said a bad word about anybody. So you know what? If I have to choose between being respectful of Chris Bosh and protecting Chris Bosh and his legacy and what he stood for when he played the game that I appreciated, or jump on the clown bus and be supportive of Rich Paul, forget Chris Paul. I'm going Bosh. And I'm going that Laker team, Kobe and Shaq, and Gary Payton and them. They lost, we get it, but it's not the same thing. They were not all in their primes like this Miami Heat team. So get the heck out of here, Rich Paul. Tired of you. Thank you very much for listening to this video. Some of you will like it. Actually, a lot of you will. The only people that don't like it are the LeBron zealots. And it is what it is with them. I'm not trying to be all their friends all the time. There's some of you that I like, respectfully, the ones of you that are normal. But the crazy ones, I don't care if they like me or not. I'm sorry. Doesn't matter. So, at the end of the day, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the J-Boy Sports Podcast. I appreciate you. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to build a community of truth, right? People that are willing to tell the truth and call it like they see it. And if you think I'm wrong, then please comment. Explain to me why I'm wrong. I'll have the debate. I like debating. I love debating. Because I live in truth. I'm going to say the truth. I don't make stuff up. So thank you very much for your time. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm very humble and thankful for you listening. Much love. That somehow you never get over leaving.